Morning, folks. Welcome back to the counselor's garden, dining room table / dirt playing area. We are at about 7 weeks. April 5th is this weekend. About 7 weeks before our safe last frost, which is 17th / 24th. So we're going to be planting all of this stuff. Some greens, some beets, marigolds. Now, this might... if you look on the back of lettuce packets, it says, 2 to 4 weeks or so before last frost. I don't know what this one says. It doesn't need 4 weeks. 4 weeks before transplanting. See, my gardener's smart. The reason we're not doing 2 to 4 weeks before last frost is lettuce can handle a light frost. So my plan is, we're 7 weeks. Grow these inside until the end of April. So 3-4 weeks. Then they can just get outside. And then at that same time, or maybe a week before, I'm going to direct seed some greens outside too. So, in theory, I'll have decent sized stuff coming up. And as I'm, harvesting it and stuff, I'll be getting sprouts coming up. And then, maybe another round of that too. So we got lettuces, we got beets, which are, the same. They can handle some frost and stuff. You get them going inside, and in about 4 weeks, I can move them outside. Spinach. Spinach there. I'm going to do a bagged spinach and then also spinach seed I saved. So kale that's been saved. Bok choy that's been saved. And then, a whole bunch of marigolds, because why not? As I was doing this, I realized, I don't know if you guys have seen here, but all I have is head lettuce. I have salad bowl mix, which is like a whole variety of leaf lettuce that I usually sprinkle and very thickly on the soil, direct sow. But I might also get some straight up leaf lettuce, some romaine or something like that. But let me get situated here and get the camera set up, and I'll show you a little bit of how I do this. Stay tuned. All right, we've gotten set up. Welcome back. What I have here is bok choy. This is crazy. I didn't know this until last year. Bok choy gets these pods that are filled with seeds. The seeds look like brassica seeds or whatever. I don't know if other brassicas do this, but crack it open and we have bok choy seeds. So who knows how many I just spilled all over the place. But if we turn over here a little bit with bok choy, and with anything, I never want to just plant one seed. At least 2 seeds per spot, unless we're talking about beets or Swiss chard or anything else that's more like a pod. Cilantro usually has a few seeds per pod. So anyway, with stuff like that, I generally will plant just one, but other things like lettuce and marigolds and this, I'll plant more than one per hole, because you don't want to be waiting on just one to germinate, double the likelihood, and then you're going to have to thin out. I'm not like going overboard. I'm not going to try to separate seeds here or separate seedlings or anything, but I'm just going to drop 1, 2, 1, 2 into the holes here. 1, 2, 1, 2 ish. Be rough with it. Who cares? You're going to thin them out anyway. And then with that, guess I should have maybe given you a better view here. I just used my fancy gardening tool and dug a hole and put them in there, and then, obviously you just cover them up like that and then label them. Don't forget to label them. So that's bok choy there. Make sure I keep that there. Swiss chard is going to be the same. Oops, sorry. I'm taking you all on a ride here. Swiss chard is going to be the same as beets. They are in the same family. Their seeds look the same. Generally speaking, this is a cluster of seeds. Sometimes, these are too hard. Sometimes when it's like a little damp, you can split it open and kind of see the different seeds. But you plant one of these, you're probably going to get at least one, but get 1 to 5, 1 to 3 plants. So with Swiss chard and beets, you really, especially beets, because you're not going to want to be separating beets. You're going to be thinning or whatever. So let me sit these down and bring this up to you here. I dug my little hole there. I'm going to take my Swiss chard and plop it in. And that's going to be the same for all of it. Pack it down, water it, maybe pot up, or maybe just move it outside when it gets big enough. Kale's going to be similar to bok choy. It's going to be very similar, actually. I'm not going to do it, but you see the seeds are pretty much the same, just a little bigger. I would plant, 2 or 3 seeds in there just to make sure I get some germination. Spinach seed, if you don't know, kind of looks like this. This is kind of rough spinach seed and chaff, but the seed is the little, potentially pods. I'm not sure that spinach seed really is a pod. I plant more than one per cell. I would, let me just grab a couple. Some of these are clustered together because, it's rough. I did it myself. Same story, different plant, dig your little hole with your fancy gardening tool about 1/4 inch or so. Drop, 1, 2. That might be 2 or 3 in there because one of those is clustered together, and then you just cover it up. Spinach is way better when it goes outside in the cold. It's way sweeter and it's just all around better. So that's the idea with those. Let's come over here and I'll give you a sneak peek of this. And after a short intermission, as my son is needing something. All right, here we are again. Sorry. I'm sure you all have seen flower seeds before. A lot of them look pretty much the same, but here's marigold seeds. The thing with flower seeds that I'm not completely sure is true because I've had pretty well successful ventures either way. Some people say that you do it this way. So you take a few seeds, you don't want to overdo it, but maybe 3 or 4 per cell. You would sprinkle them on like this, and then you would just press the seed down like this. I've done it that way. We'll just dump this last one in there. So that's 5 seeds per cell. Marigolds cluster together very well, so it doesn't really matter that much. I've also seen and done myself, we get them in there, kind of like this. Make sure we have good soil contact, and then put the lightest dusting of soil on top of them like this. So just to keep them down. They do need light to germinate, but if you just put a dusting, even like a vermiculite on top, so it's like see-through, but I'm going to do a little bit of both of that. So that's marigolds and most other flowers, honestly. Now we have lettuce. These lettuces all pretty much look the same, and seeds, very fine seeds like that, almost look like dirt. These, as I said earlier, you're not gonna want to overseed too much, 2 or 3 per cell, because it's a head of lettuce. Like, it's gonna crowd itself out and not do that great. You're gonna have to thin or try to separate. Lettuce separates sort of well. It's pretty hardy, but if you have the space, just don't do too many. So I will get, a pinch in my hand. I will do the same, same story, a hole. I will try to grab not too many and pop them in this hole and pack it down just like that. And that's the same for all heads of lettuce. Like I said, leaf lettuce, you can crowd it out pretty well, and not insanely, but you can have 4 or 5 pop up in different places and split the root ball in half and put it in the ground, and it'll spread itself out a little bit. Never grown arugula, but I'm treating it like any other plant. It's almost looks like brassica. I'm not sure if it is, but I'm going to plant, I'm going to do my hole, and I'm plant 2 to 3 per hole. So that's a hopefully quick rundown of this. Let me get this going, and then I'll snap back with the final result. All right, here we are. It's getting pretty full in here. I had to rig together a bottom row, and I'm trying to block it off from little munchkins getting in, but here's what we just planted. I don't usually use humidity domes, so I'll leave these on for just a little bit just to make sure the moisture gets down, and then take them off, because these plants don't really need to stay humid per se. We did a good watering today too, and everything's looking fairly nice. Got a lot of peppers, and this is going to turn into 100 pots of tomatoes, which is ridiculous. I don't know where I'm going to put it, but it's a job for another day. Hopefully this was informative and helpful, and your growing season's growing well. Take care and keep growing.